Let's run it. Yes, up, man. Yeah, that's good to hear, bro. At least you will. So in terms of Bitcoin, when we were looking at this last Tuesday, right, we were looking at it over here. What I said last Tuesday was, if you get any retests, right, of this area, and that retest is a lower high, then you can take scalps off it, because you're going to have, again, a very common yet very powerful structure. Your initial resistance, your trap traders, your radon liquidity, whatever you want to call it, your deviation, and your reconfirmation that the original resistance is still resistance, right? That third, let's say, impulse up that rejected, that's always a powerful one to go off of, right? So we actually got two amazing scalp entries off this. If you go to the hourly, here was your original, right? So even if you take an hourly trade on this, how would you have done it? You would have done it as so. Waited for that, retest confirmation to open below, stop loss above the retest wick high, and then, risk reward of 3, or, just do your next target of the mid. There's your first trade right there, right? That's what would have been for the plan for your first trade, right? In this first case here, you got a risk reward of 2.09 before going back up, right? I am a aggressive scalper, so this is where you take profits, recompound if you get further confirmations of this still being resistance, which is what I did, and then your original target would have played out, right? So the short scenario we described at the last stream did take place. What was once resistance, your radon liquidity and a reconfirmation of resistance, that did happen, right? What did we also say last stream? We said, look, just because I explained everything in terms of order flow last week, right? So I explained this in terms of footprint charts, why even though the weekly close was great, locally speaking, sellers were showing local signs of aggression, right? They were showing an edge locally, which is why we got this dump in the first place. But what I did say, don't expect like a massive reversal, right? Because as far as you know, you could literally retest your breakout, two zones you broke out of, retested, both successful retest, therefore we're going higher. Right, so everything here is very, very textbook. We're not confused about what's going on. You broke out, retested your key area, and you're breaking out again. So any pullbacks, right, the area you'd be looking at now for a retest would be, if you go to the weekly, here is your weekly seller zone, right? Closes above this zone for continuation up at any pullbacks, right? If you start closing below this zone, then once again, what you can say is you have initial resistance. Let's say you start rejecting here, going back down, your radon liquidity, and then you'll have reconfirmation of what was once resistance as resistance. So if you miss taking any shorts from up here for a scalp, you will get amazing opportunities to scalp down here. Right? Exact same framework as we were running last week at this area. But all in all, Bitcoin looks great, right? This looks great. So you're literally up against your final boss before you go towards 75k, which is this 3-month seller zone, right? We have a 3-month candle where buyers were active. You have an area within that candle where sellers took control back from the buyers. That is this 3-month seller zone, right? So what did we do? We broken above this. So all we're saying with this is we're saying these 3 levels, you need to get above them basically, right? Treat them as support rather than resistance if you want to make new highs on BTC, right? So the level we're coming up to now is 72,539, right? Let's see what kind of reaction we get there. Ideally, we close above, right? Go above this. What I really want to see now is I want to see a big sweep of this extreme right here, right? 73,757. I want to see a big sweep of that, and I've been posting about this a lot on Twitter, but I want to see this butterfly being hit. 75,657. Let's stop out everybody that's short from here. Literally, last I checked, I thought it was about 5 billion in shorts. Checked again yesterday, and I think it's close enough. If you get towards 75k, I think it's like double digit in the billions of how much liquidity is going to be wiped out of the market. I said there's a lot of liquidity waiting up here to get stopped out. There's a lot of shorts that are built up. Let's go stop them all out. And any weakness I see at this area now, I am going to be looking for signs of distribution to once again try and take a head short. Okay, because we could just blast off, go to 100k. I don't think it's going to happen like that. We'll see, right? We do have, this month there's a lot going on, right? There's CPI, I believe. There's what am I thinking of? Elections, right? So a lot of news-driven catalysts coming up this month. I think, Plenty of profits have been made on this move up. So, you know, until we get confirmations of being above this zone as a general, we see a good flip. I'm going to be switching to defensive the higher we go towards the 75k target. Right? I'm not going to be playing offensively. I'm going to be playing defensively. And playing defensively doesn't mean you don't take any trades. I'm just going to sell everything. That's not what I mean, right? But I'm going to be preserving my capital the best I can once I get up there again, right? Yes, I've realized a lot of profits. I don't want to give that profits back now by taking a stupid play up here, right? But all in all, Bitcoin looks fantastic, right? This is a breakout, and you know, this was, again, another way we looked at this last week was I put this up, right? Where is it? There. Our original supply line, right, is, if I turn this off once for you guys, there we go. Original supply line is the bottom of that red line, right? You had your retest of that. This was another attempted retest of this, and what you're saying at this point is you're saying demand is so strong, buyers aren't even letting the sellers come down to test this area, right over here. We got the retest up. Then we got the breakout retest of your next line right over here. That is happening over there, right? And now we've had a breakout of the top of this zone. So, you know, any pullbacks into here again, you're completely fine, right? You're just retesting your supply line breakout, and we could go higher. But all in all, Bitcoin looks fantastic. Now, another way to visualize this is, of course, with a fib speed fan. What did we do? The original resistance we had, 786, right? Basically 786. Breakout to the 88687, so your deep value zones, right? Use that as resistance, came back down to reconfirm this breakout as being valid. So you retested the breakout, confirm that to be support, right? 786764, and then you've gone above now. You've hit your next target. So what we're saying at this stage is we're saying the only after the 0.94 for me, the next level is the 1, right? 73757, and a rate of that's going to take you to the liquidity rate zones now, right? And how would you mark out this liquidity rate zone? Well, if I'm on the daily, I'm just going to select the fib speed resistance fan. I'm going to select the shallow ratios. We're gonna, you know, it's 1 to 2. So again, from here to here, you're not going to be surprised, right? Again, we have another reason as to why 75k is a valid target, 75 to 76 sort of area. That is where now the liquidity rate is pointing towards. You get above the 1, you now have your projection to the top side, right? All that is to say, you know, yes, you know, we're really bullish now. That much is very, very obvious to see. But now, if you look at Bitcoin dominance, which is something we should all be looking at, right? If we go to master list, we look at BTC dominance. What we are doing is we are just literally grinding up. Or we've been grinding up, and no signs of slowing down anytime soon, right? We don't see any sort of bearishness, let's say, popping up yet, right? We have no signs of bearishness yet. So we have a original seller zone over here on the yearly, right? This seller zone. You're above the mid at that, so 62.51%, very much a possibility, right? And I think the structure there would actually be really nice because, you know, you'd have, again, the same kind of structure. Initial resistance, your, let's say, rate on liquidity, and the reconfirmation, what was once resistance is resistance, and then send it lower, right? So between 58.76 to 62.51%, this zone, right? Hopefully we get a top around here somewhere. If not, we go higher, is what it is, right? The higher this goes at the end of the day, the better the old season you're going to get eventually when this does start to slip down. But now if we take a look at this in terms of fib retracements as well, right? So if I was to do this and I was to go fib retracement, I'm going to go this. We've got a high right over here, low right over here. We know that currently we are at the 382, 60.05%. We have another reason why this top is nice. The liquidity rate of the golden pocket 0.414 is at 62.11%, right? So 62.11 to 62.51. Hopefully that's around where we top. Now, of course, we could top here and go down. Who knows, right? We have to wait for now to see what kind of reaction we get at the 382. But this zone here, there's confluence, right? Let's see what kind of price action we get. If you see rejections here, it's what it is. If you start a flip at this level, there's your next zone. Literally level by level at this stage, right? You're approaching the areas at the end of the day where you are going to be looking for rejections. So Bitcoin dominance is very, very strong. And this is the reason why your alts aren't really performing, right? A bullish Bitcoin dominance isn't going to mean, you know, also going to pump. We need Bitcoin dominance to go down. We need the dominance owed to Bitcoin in the crypto total market cap to go down, right? We need money rotating from Bitcoin to other projects. ETH against BTC. Now, let's take a look at that as well. Because what did we finally do on ETH BTC? We did finally go and hit... okay, why is everything turned off? 1 second. Yeah, right there. We did finally go and hit the Gartley on ETH against BTC. Right over here. And 0.786 basically, or 1.35, 602, so basically a 618 on the retracement, 886 on this retracement basically. This is a Gartley, right? You can see previous highs from 2016, right? Resistance, treated as support, treated as resistance again, treated now as support. If we can hold this as support, it's not just the fact that you have a harmonic, it's where the harmonic is completing. Right, and sure, you could definitely get a deeper pullback, right? You could get one more slip down. You could get a deep Gartley, for instance, right? You could get the 886. But you're approaching the area now where you're going to say, you know, this is where I'm starting to look for that bottoming structure. Right, and if I go and find, what's the reason I keep saying that, is the seasonality. Right, what you notice is if you go to the 12 months, or even, you know, we can look at this on the weekly as well, to be honest. What you notice is that, you know, ETH against BTC tends to outperform, historically speaking, right? ETH against BTC tends to outperform. Let me do this on the monthly, a bit easier. ETH against BTC tends to outperform during the halving years. So, right, 2016 we got a bit of outperformance, and then post-halving years when ETH against BTC really goes nuts, right? And we saw that the 2016 cycle, we saw that the 2020 cycle, you started some sort of outperformance here, right, in 2020, and then it's post-halving year we really went nuts again. So far this cycle, we haven't had that seasonality hold up, right? But I'm still getting these lines down because that were the time frame at the end of the day where we were expecting it to happen. So hopefully from 2025 onwards, you know, we do get a serious burst up. Right? If not, then the seasonality's gone out the window. It's no longer a seasonality, right? ETH has been really weak. It's no surprise, right? It has been really weak this cycle so far. But now you're approaching areas where, you know, look, you've hit your M shape, you've broken down from your demand line. If you're not expecting ETH to absolutely die, this is where you say, okay, we've got our raid, let's reclaim and go higher, right? If you start to lose this level, then like I said, deeper it is. It's what it is. Maybe the 886, right? On the harmonic. So perhaps this right over here. If you go a bit deeper, you have an order block there, for instance, right? You've got reasons to be there because to support resistance as well. So anywhere within this zone, basically, is what you're saying. You know, yeah, let's look for a bottoming structure to come in somewhere around here, basically. And then into 2025, let's look for strength, let's look for the reclaim, and then go up. And the reason I say this is because now, if you switch over to the ETH chart, right, Ethereum, there is nothing bearish about Ethereum. Okay, I know I keep saying this. There is nothing bearish about Ethereum. The USDT pairing for ETH is completely fine. Right, resistance, flip to support, reclaim a support, right? You have no closes in candle body beneath 2281. So as long as we are holding 2281, 2282 to 2030 basically, right? As long as you are above this zone, there is absolutely nothing to worry about on ETH. Right? This is swing trading. This is what it is. There is no guaranteed time frame within which your targets are going to be hit. It's only about price, right? As long as your price are holding, as long as your price is holding your key levels and you're not getting below them, there is nothing coherently bearish about Ethereum right now. And yes, people are shitting on ETH because, you know, obviously we know Solana's been massively outperforming, right? Everyone's like, you know, fuck ETH, go Sol. And yes, I understand the sentiment, right? I completely understand the sentiment. But that doesn't mean ETH is now relegated to the sidelines, you know, fading into obscurity, right? We do not know that yet. Nothing drastic has happened for us to be like, yeah, ETH is done for, right? If ETH literally, like, you know, we're making fresh lows and not even like, you know, challenging key levels when Bitcoin was going up and we had like, you know, that entire all season last year, then yes, you'd have that. But ETH didn't do that. ETH still had a nice reaction, right? So for me, like, I definitely think ETH is going to make new highs this cycle. I am positioned accordingly. I've been saying this for, you know, ages now. We are above, as long as we are above this key level, there is absolutely nothing to fear on ETH, okay? ETH against BTC will probably bottom out at some point. And eventually, you know, all the people who sold their ETH are going to be wondering, why is ETH 5K all of a sudden? Right? Like, we probably are going to go and make new highs on ETH, right? That's my current thesis. So absolutely nothing to fear on Ethereum. Now, the reason I say I understand the sentiment is because if we do go to Solana, right, we know Solana is looking amazing as well. So firstly, let's look at the Solana chart. Hang on, Jesus, focus, there we go. Right, we know Solana has been doing really, really well. If I get rid of other time frame, what were we saying again? What did I say last week? We said 169.94. If you get above that, you look for a trade. Right, so again, let's take this back to the daily first. We were looking at this literally here, right? Tuesday last week, we were saying, what I was saying was, you have no business if you're not already in a trade, to be in a trade at this current point in time on Solana, right? Because I said, you've missed the entry on the retest, you missed the short entry on this, you're below your key level of the 12-month seller zone low. So you either wait for the flip of 169.94 into support to take along to the next key zone, towards the next key zone, right? Or you wait for, the breakdown and a confirmation of a breakdown to take the short back towards here, right? So something like this to short back into all ranges. What ended up happening, right? So we got the daily and then we got the breakout, right? So if we drop to the hourly now, so we were looking at this last week over here, Tuesday, right? Eventually, what did we do? We popped above. There's your breakout. There's your retest, right? This is the scenario I said. If you get this, then you can take a long on Solana. And I did that, right? Solana long, it was this. As soon as you get a successful retest, your confirmation opens above resistance. You enter a trade, put your stop loss below the retest wick low, right? And then whether you're trading based off risk to reward, you're trading based off external targets, right? Just look to the left. That's a higher time frame 12-month target, and then look for weekly biases for any chop you might get. So for example, we look to the left over here and we realize, what do we have? We have what used to be a buyer zone in history, right? Something like this. So you're going to extend that to the right as well, right? It's just something, just in case you want to predict liquidity rates to either the top side or to the downside. But you put those levels down. There we go, right? Go back to the 1 hour. Then we can see that this trade would have been a very good one, right? So scenario, again, described last lesson. It was described on live on stream. It's there on YouTube to like, try and say I'm not chatting shit. It was literally live on stream last week. I said, if you get the flip, look for the trade. The flip happened right over here. This was your trade entry, right? And, you take profits when you need to. You see you're below your next key level. You don't. You either hedge a short or, you put your stop loss to break even, because then shit like this can happen, right? You get confirmation back to the downside. You lose that key level around which you're looking to enter. So right now, as you speak on Sol, you are now trying to flip this zone, right? So if you can get above 179.49 now, that is what I'm looking at, right? On the macro scale, you get above this zone, you start trading above 179 again. That is your next opportunity to try and scalp along to the next target. Right now on the yearly, the next target is at 215. That's why we also look at time frames outside of just the yearly, right? So now if I turn on other time frame buyer seller zones, the next target you have that is serious, in my opinion, is 193.90. So you get a flip, you get a confirmation flip of 179.49, this general area. You are targeting along with your next target being 179.93. That is the next scalp you're looking for on Solana. Right, so we can see from the Solana's chart, obviously Solana looks better than Ethereum. It's trading higher in price. It's closer to its all-time high, right? More importantly, if we look at the Sol against BTC pairing, right? Well, it's not a surprise why we're doing so well, right? Let me turn this off first. Just take a look at this like this to begin with, right? Look, Sol against BTC literally has a completed M shape at the bottom. Right, for those of you that entered Sol at the lows, right? I wasn't even in Unity when I did here, but we were buying Sol down here, right? Remember talking about this with Neil. We were saying, oh yeah, the SFB FUD, all of this. Yeah, we're not gonna go lower. We both bought bags down here because again, it's not just what was happening, right? Psychologically, they're giving you so much FUD at the lows. You try to counter that, right? You look at structures like this and you realize you have a macro bat completed with a double bottom to confirm that 886 as support. You have a reclaim of what was once support back into support, right? A higher low. You have then a supply line breakout and a retest, right? If I was to do this and do this, oh wait, over here, just do this, there, breakout, retest, right? So you've confirmed you're out of this as well. Literally everything in the chart was screaming higher, right? You hit your T1 zone, you hit your B. You then literally what you're doing now, right? Sol against BTC is literally flipping the T1 zone, your terminal 1 zone, right, into support. You're not going to be surprised if you go deeper into the T2 next. You've already hit that, but your next target is let's go flip the T2, then let's go here. Above this is again price discovery, right? Above this is price discovery for Sol against BTC. So the Sol against BTC chart looks amazing, right? Which is why Solana's been outperforming, because the ETH against BTC chart is nowhere near as strong as this, right? And if you compare Solana to ETH, well, we're literally putting all-time highs in terms of Solana against ETH, right? So you know, if someone had a gun to your head right now and they made you choose one, you would obviously choose Solana, right? But many of us are not in that position. So instead of being like, you know, yeah, let's not choose that, let's not choose this, why not just have a bit of both? Have Solana, have Ethereum. It's the best of both worlds, because I can promise, I'm not going to say I promise you 100%, but I have faith that Ethereum is not just going to fade into obscurity, right? Not yet. You give it a couple cycles. If you literally see ETH showing no signs of strength over years, then you have a proper reason to be like, yeah, fuck ETH, you know, we're not interested in trading this shit coin, right? We treat it like, you know, every other Dino coin that's been traded into obscurity. But ETH hasn't been doing that. It's not been doing that yet, right? So we still give it some time, because it could definitely still outperform for us. So I've just been talking a lot. Let me check the chat real quick. Yo, sup, Caleb, bro? Hope you're good, man. What's up, Hannibal? Yeah, love to hear that, brother. Feel this cycle. Butterfly on ETH. Yeah, bro. But yeah, so that's all against ETH, right? And you know, for those of you that are newer, please do start doing this. Look at your BTC pairings, and you know, look, one day you're gonna wake up, and I'm gonna say this now. One day you're gonna wake up, you are going to see Total 2 outperform everything else, right? When that happens, look at your Ethereum pairings as well, okay? Because again, if you want to rotate out of ETH, don't just rotate into any random shitcoin. Rotate into coins that look like they're ready to go against ETH. But that was Solana. We looked at Ethereum. We looked at let's look at USDT dominance real quick. Yeah, breaking down. There's your breakdown. There was your retest. The retest closed under, so we're breaking down. This is what you want to see, right? 5% next. Let's see what happens there. You lose 5%, 4.68. But back to focus. Solana, yeah, above this level, like you're currently at resistance. Don't look for fresh longs randomly until you get confirmation you are above, which you're trying to put in right now, to be honest. 179.49, right? You want to see successful bids of this area. Once you get that, that is when you get in, right? So this is a successful retest here of this zone. Once you get some candle closes above this, right? Wait for this hourly to close, for example, right? And then go on to the 15, the 5, the 3, whatever. If you're looking for a scalp, you look for that lower time frame entry model at any pullbacks you get, right? If you're looking for a higher time frame one and you decide to enter here, it's a high risk entry in terms of where you are, but in terms of, it's a high risk entry in terms of the probability of your stops being hit, right? Should Bitcoin have even the tiniest pullbacks, many of these coins will also go with it, with Bitcoin dominance where it currently is. But if you wanted to absolutely, if you're really desperate for a position, right, and you decide to enter against your better judgment, then if you lose this wick, that is where your invalidation is, okay? I.e., you do something like this, you start getting below this, right? Your wick low, you're 178.11, I would cut it there. Don't hold, okay? Don't look for wide stops when you're so high, right? You look for wide stops when, you know, price hasn't, you're looking at entries at moments like this, right? At moments like this, when you're flipping your key levels, and you get the retest, that's when you're looking for, you know, wider stops. Now you've already gone up and you're now at resistance. You don't look for wide stops at resistance. You look for tight invalidations, because wide stops, you know, if you do reject, then what you're saying is you're rejecting at resistance, right? Having wide stops there makes zero sense, because you're just increasing the window within which you have a drawdown before you get stopped out anyway, likely. Wide stops are key areas, not at areas like this now, right? Okay, so if you guys have any coins you want looking over, put it in chat. I will go over them. I'll go over a few more that I'm looking at. So the first one I wanted to mention, I realized my bids failed this morning when I checked my accounts. But if you remember the Saga chart I put in my channel, we did get the retest, right? So up about 10% right now. So if I find where it is, Saga, right here, Saga, this is what I'm talking about. So we finally got the retest, right? What we were saying was, we said I had a Gartley here, right? 786, 618, 1.721, 0.382. So basically treating this as a Gartley zone, right? 1.618 and a 786. What did we do? We did what AVAX did basically, right? We went below our harmonic, and then we did a a consolidation, right? So you had a low, you put a double bottom in, put a higher low in, and then you broke out, right? You broke out, you went to your original T1 target of what your harmonic would have been, right? You went to the T1, and therefore, what we're saying now is we're saying you're getting a retest of what used to be your Gartley PRZ, right? So this is what I mentioned in my channel. I think it's been about a month now since I gave this out. I said, I'm not going to enter Saga here because we'd already broken out, right? I'm going to wait for confirmation that this is, once again, what was once resistance is support, right? So the initial bids have been filled right over here. So I woke up this morning to that being filled. So what we're saying is, of course, we've got resistance here. We need to reclaim that to go higher. If we don't reclaim it, then maybe I'll just literally reduce my position size again in anticipation of lower prices. Maybe we get one more push down on BTC before going higher, right? But if we do reclaim the old range, then, main targets really are up here, right? 0.5, around $4.62. Then I'd reassess, do I want to keep holding this, or do I want to rotate into something that looks more promising? But Saga did fill entries. I just wanted to update that here for you guys. A few other coins I am looking at, right? One is VeChain. I was looking at the VeChain chart, and I thought the structure looked amazing. Overall, in terms of M shapes, you know how I do it. VET. Yes, this is not something you'd put your entire life savings in, of course, right? VeChain by no means is an outperformer. There's stronger coins in the market. If you want strong coins, if you want to really maximize your probability of getting the most out of rotations, just put everything under just look for projects under like Sui or Solana and put it into there, right? But just wanted to mention this for anyone that had any spare change to try and get into some trades. What we have here on VeChain is, if I get rid of this, right? Let's look at this from group 2 first. So in terms of the macro thesis, right, what we have is a completed M shape here, right? 0.5, a 0.786, and then an 886, right? So this right here between the 87 and 886, that is your PRZ, we're saying, for this macro bat, right? What we did, again, we've basically done what AVAX did, which is you hit them bat and then you actually went lower before going higher. But we haven't done what AVAX has done, which is we know AVAX has reclaimed the 886 as support and started trading higher, right? Currently we are back below the 886 again. So this is what I mean when I say, the structure, the actual coin itself, there's better projects out there in terms of, what's the most probability of catching bids. But the reason I'm mentioning this is because risk to reward wise, this one's at a good area, right? And I didn't really see anyone else talking about it for now, so I thought I'd mention it. So you're reclaiming what was once support as support, right? Support, then you lost it, reclaimed as support. You lost it again, claimed to support, you're reclaiming it as support. So it's a very key area where you're at, right? So on the macro, ultimately what we want to do is we want to be above 0.032 to 0.036, right? This 87886, we want to be above this ultimately. So any trades we take down here, we will be taking some profits here, right? Because we know if buyers cannot take control here, then VeChain is literally fading into obscurity, right? You wouldn't be surprised if this went down back to range lows again, right? If you do flip this though, then your first target is range extreme, and after that, your targets get really high. So your next target will be all the way up here, 0.08. After that, in terms of this harmonic structure, your T1 is here, right? Your 0.5 of the B is right there, and then your T2 is here. Now, do we get this high again? I don't know. Probably not, right? We probably don't get this high. But, even let's say we get towards 0.08, that's about a 400% increase from where we currently are, right? And invalidation is super clear. You're saying if you lose this external wick low, you're going to cut, right? So you're risking barely anything where you currently are in hopes of making, so just simple risk to reward, right? Where you currently are, you're simply saying, look, if I'm wrong, I'm risking, let's say 16 to around 15%, right? On my position size. And again, you wouldn't position size too heavy into this, in my opinion. Versus even passive, right? Even passive, let's say first target, risk to reward of 3, is still a 60% move up, right? And then let's say any weakness you see at these highs, 146, these highs, 279, and let's say even just T1 of this macro batch structure on the left, that seems doable, right? Just about there. That seems doable in the euphoria of a proper bull market. That would be a 466% move off the lows. Again, you're risking only 15.85% where you currently are, right? So And you don't even have to go all in, right? If you don't want to, you can, again, I know I mention this every time, but I do it because for swing trading, this is literally how I swing trade. Have an entry as CMP, have a DCA for if you go a bit lower. So let's say, you go test this level, look for a deviation range, right? For example, this looks like a very good deviation range to consider. If we do this, here is a deviation range, right? What we're saying is, okay, in history, every time we have gone below this black line, we have actually managed to get as low as this before reclaiming and going higher, right? So there's a deviation there. So perhaps you want to include this as a source of DCA, right? Rather than a hard stop. And then if you lose this zone, that's when you want to cut, right? That's something else you can do as well. But this is where you manage your risk, right? Let's say 20% is CMP, 40% for DCAs, and 40% for when you get a confirmation of a trend shift. You do those three, you're going to be positioned at the right side of the V to catch the bulk of the move, right? So just maintaining VeChain because it's at an area where you can very, very easily manage your risk, right? So I've only shown you the macro perspective on this. Let's see what else we have, right? So we know there's the macro perspective there. And let me just move this to group 2. Yeah, perfect. Let's take a look at where we are currently, right? So even where we currently are, we do have completed M shapes, right? So if we take a look here, and I go on something like the 3-day, for example, right? What do we have? You have a already completed bat, 886, right? And you do have a slightly deeper bat in case you have one more pullback, right? Somewhere towards this green zone here. So you literally have a line in the sand now, right? You're saying if you get below this green zone, you're not interested in holding VeChain, right? But as long as you are above this green zone, then there is now, there's hardly any reason for market participants to keep dumping this. Right? Like, you think about it, there's loads of shorts piled up. It's not like, people are holding longs from 2020. I mean, some might be, but now there's way more liquidity to the top side than there is going to be to the downside. Right? So it doesn't really make sense to then be hoping for, maybe we get, 7 cents VeChain. Maybe we do, but for that to happen, you're going to need to have a market-wide crash again. Right? But more likely scenario is, as long as you stay above this green zone, you're probably going to go higher. Right? So now, even ease invalidation, we have a demand zone, right? We can see that if you lose that, just cut, and maybe you get an entry, a tighter stop loss. Maybe you get an entry at the green zone, right? But however you decide to manage your risk, I've given you a couple options right here on stream. The line in the sand is you don't want to get below this green box, right? You get below this 886, you've lost all arguments for the M shapes and stuff. You cut it. You're not interested in holding, right? And if you ever reclaim that in the future, you can always re-add. But at the areas you currently are, right, versus if you consider your downside versus your upside, right, your risk to reward is very, very attractive here for VeChain. That's the only reason I'm mentioning this, right? I don't think VeChain is going to change the future or anything like this, but just in terms of you managing your risk, it's areas where you could do so. And we can look at this in other ways as well. So for example, over here we have the 2018. We have the 2018 all-time high, 12 months. So if we go back to the 12 months, this is our 2018 seller zone, right? Areas where sellers were in control. You have successfully retested the mid. Yes, you're back down below the top for now. So you're looking at your other time frames to enter. But on the 12 months, we also have the fact that this is a 12-month seller zone, and you are currently holding it as support, right? What we're saying if this holds a support and this yearly candle closes above 0.02294. What happened in history every time you've closed above this? Well, you've gone at least to 0.03898. Right? So if this yearly candle closes above, again, VeChain has an argument for why it can go higher. Right? The mid of the big sellers has been held, and now you're literally retesting and holding for now above the mid of the next seller zone you have right over here on the 12 months. And there you can see in this perspective, there is not many reasons to actually go lower now. Right, not much. There's a lot of reasons to go higher because you go on the monthly and you realize all of these places are external liquidity, literally month by month, right? You have shorts building. That is a lot of liquidity for us to take out now. That is a lot of stops that needs to be raided. You can see nothing's been taken. You have raided literally nothing, right? So if someone decides to go, put a big bid in, all of these people are going to get liquidated, right? That's a big liquidity cascade to the upside waiting to happen. So that's another perspective on this, right? And I've got more perspectives. Yeah, I already mentioned that one. That one's being held. So in terms of diagonals now, you guys know, firstly, let's take a look at this, right? Actually, look at, this right here. We have the current structure low to high, right? What you're doing, you're around the 87886. So you've hit your deep value areas, right? Perhaps you wait for the 87886 to be reclaimed again before you actually think of buying. Okay, that'd be a nice little trigger to help yourself out. Get above the 87886, you can bid. If not, maybe you do get a slightly lower entry. Another way to look at this is the actual, what do we have? Lower highs, lower lows, lower high, a fresh lower low, right? So the last lower low that led to a lower high is right over here. This is the high that went to take out that lower high that led to a lower low, right? So this is your change of character basically, right? There's your high low. So from this low to this high now, if you take diagonals from there, that gives you a very, very powerful, that's a very powerful trick you can do with diagonals basically, right? Select the trend or select the impulse that broke structure and get the diagonal based off that. That will give you a diagonal you can use for the rest of the trend, right? Because if this now is in an uptrend, then as long as these levels hold and you don't get to one, that's just high lows waiting to be put in. And if you look at it from that perspective, the 87886, you're holding it as support right now. Right, so if you do decide to enter here, so what I would basically do is I'm saying we have the macro 87886 here as well. So as soon as you get above the macro 886, right, which is right over here, perhaps that is where you start bidding some if you want some VeChain, right? And a very easy way to cut this is if you literally start closing below this 87886, just close it. Very, 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 very simple, right? In terms of pitch fans as well, you know, you've hit your liquidity rate areas. So in terms of diagonals, you're at very, very key levels as well. So ultimately, here, as long as you're within this green zone, your current trend is being held, right? If you lose this green zone, you'll make it or break it, line in the sand. Does VeChain fade into obscurity, or does it make, like, you know, go out and take more lows? Depends on whether you hold or lose this yellow zone, should you ever get there. Okay, if you ever go to this area and then you lose this yellow zone, right? You start losing this yellow zone, you start doing something like this, I'd be looking for lower. I think VeChain is just going to be like, you know, it's going to be in the absolute pits, right? It's going to be in the gutter. But as long as you're holding this zone you're currently at, eventually I think, you know, you're just going to keep chopping until this is ready to just blast off. And you're going to, you know, that's when you're going to see those 30-40% impulse candles in a day coming in, right? Like many alts have done, even over the last month or two that we saw from the M shapes. So I know that was a pretty long explanation, but I just wanted you guys to see, like, you know, all the different perspectives I'm seeing in terms of diagonals, in terms of horizontal levels, right? Completed M shapes, the wave structure. VeChain is at an area where you can manage your risk really, really easily, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. That was just a long-winded way of saying that. So areas where you can manage your risk really, really easily. Oh wait, yeah, that's fine. So that's VeChain. Let me check the chat again. TIA, yeah, we'll take a look at TIA. Yeah, bro, that looks good, man. Higher for BTC. I think I want to see what happens around 75k. If I see weakness around, you know, that 75 to 76k level, I'll look for some hedge shorts. But if there's literally no weakness, then yeah, I think we're just gonna keep running up. I think there's like 15 to 16 billion in shorts, in liquidation. Sorry, just waiting to be taken around that 74 to 75k level.
Hey, how's it going, Weather?
Yo,
What's
sup,
up,
bro?
bro?
How you doing, man?
Yeah, good, good. I didn't want to intrude, you know, when you were going over the coins, but yeah, man, definitely targeting a lot higher. Curious to see what the election results are, and
Yeah,
also FMC results as well.
yeah, for sure, bro. With the rate cuts and everything, we'll see why everything goes on. But I mean, just in terms of the charts, we're looking so literally at like the point at the edge of just having that massive green fuck you candle being printed.
100%, bro,
Yeah,
100%. You know why as well? Because people are rotating money from stocks now into crypto as well.
yeah, yeah,
We're kind of seeing like NQ, S&P, Dow Jones, all kind of topping a little bit, in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
I think it's all inevitably going to go up, right, due to supply and demand, but Bitcoin's obviously the main target right now. Like, you've seen how many institutions have been accumulating. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
go a
for
lot
sure.
higher.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm excited, bro. Really excited.
Yeah, man, definitely curious to see the election results. I don't think they're not going to announce them the same day. It'll be a few days after. And then, yeah, I'm expecting rate cuts maybe of 0.25% this time.
Hmm.
And yeah, hopefully Trump wins because that'll be good for the markets.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think if Trump does win, we'll get that
I,
big
I'm
impulse up.
definitely, I'm definitely, I'm definitely trading Newsday.
Yeah, bro, the volatility is gonna be insane.
It's gonna be insane.
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. Oh, right. I
But
mean,
yeah, man, looking for altcoin dominance to do a reversal on others' dominance soon because
yeah,
right now, downtrending, Bitcoin dominance is uptrending. I was hoping 60% was like a key resistance, Bitcoin dominance.
yeah,
So we'll see if it eat throughs that. But if we can see a reversal on that, increase in others' dominance, we'll see a lot of liquidity inflow.
yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, others dominance is literally at the edge. It's holding on for dear life right now, actually. Jesus Christ.
This is why it's important. Like obviously, a lot of traders in our group are leverage trading, but also building up a good spot portfolio at the
Yeah,
same time. Good projects.
yeah. Yeah, if anyone here is purely in leverage right now, it's like unless you really know what you're doing, that's not advised, okay? Like if you look at many of these coins, you don't need to be in leverage to make money. You just need to hold. That's it.
Yeah. Even with my leverage trading profits, I just put that into my spot portfolio.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Same. I've been rotating. Um, others, yes, the resistance is still playing out. Yeah, total one, you can see where the money flow is. Total one looks absolutely great. Total two looks ready to go, but total three and others are still below resistance. No altcoin season until we flip this. Same with others. DeFi looking good still. That's good. Okay. CME gaps. Let's see. Do we have any fresh CME gaps? Last I checked, yeah, we have a 1 hour one right over here. In case of any pullbacks, right? You want to flush any longs out, and then you have another one at 50. I don't know if you get this 50. Honestly, I'd be focusing on this one for now. This CME has been filled. You have no other ones over here, so here's a target in case we do have a pullback. And if you look at the daily, we can see it won't be it won't be out of character for them to send us a flush before sending higher again. But the question is, where does that flush come in, right? We have a lot of longs, external liquidity here now that could be taken before we go higher. Here's one, here's the other, and then here's another right over here. So it'll be interesting to see. Volatile for sure. I don't think, guys, if you think this is it, strap in for 100k. I don't think it's not going to be a smooth ride to 100k, okay? That's just my personal opinion for now. Like I said, I want to see what happens around 75 to 76k. Any wicks above, I don't care. It's like, where does the candle body close? What kind of structure you're getting on the 4 hours, right? The daily. If you see exactly what we're seeing down here, right? Let's say you start to see, around 75k, some sort of resistance being built up, right? And then you see like, an impulse down, and then you see like a move up, and then you see a load of market longs coming in, and you see that's not sending the price higher, and you see a move back down, and you see us go to retest that zone again, right? For resistance, you start to see distributive structure like this, then you might get that lower time frame flush of the market, right? So just be wary of any structures like this that develop. I know it's you can get euphoric literally overnight in the markets, but just have your head on, right? Because you don't want to be opening up, especially if you're now thinking, oh, I'm just gonna ape into a lot of alts, I'm gonna get rich in the next month. It's not gonna happen like that. If anything, even if Bitcoin comes back here, if it's a nasty sell-off, your alts are gonna drop super hard. They just are. Okay. So just be careful here, especially with leverage trading, like Caleb was saying. Be very, very careful. Okay, so we have, let me go back to focus. We have Injective is up nicely. That's good to see. Key area is still being held, right? Aptos back up super nice. We got this retest here. We got this retest. So this is what we talked about again last stream. I was saying on Aptos, a crazy entry, an amazing one would be down here at the 0.5, right? At this bullish 5.0 basically. But you don't need to do that again. Why? Because if you're truly in an uptrend, right, you want buy stepping in at your shallow retracement zones, right? Like I was saying this last time. So that's exactly what happened on Aptos again. Same as here, same as here. Your shallow retracement zones, your retest of this breakout were both successful. Therefore, you're going back up higher, right? Aptos, Injective. We looked at Injective. AVAX, not really moved, but AVAX looks great. I know I talk about this every stream, but AVAX looks great. We're not going to go parabolic until we flip this yellow, zone basically into support. Once we do that, I think, that's when you really get those big impulses up on AVAX. But again, AVAX is also doing everything right, basically, right? You've retested your macro levels. You're putting in higher lows. You're grinding up. You're holding your trend over time. Everything you need to do is being done. Sui, we got the retest of the gray zone, which is again what we were talking about on Tuesday last week. This retest here, right? We got the retest and you're getting a nice impulse off this, right? I'm in a long for this. AVAX, Sui, all of those. I'm still in those spot bags. Just hold on to them because Bitcoin hasn't even gone like proper price discovery yet, right? Like spot bags, just hold until big liquidity comes in and then you distribute once things get really euphoric. For these longs, I'm just going in. If I see weakness, I take some profits, and if I see any pullbacks with strength, I just size up, right? It's just very actively trading. But anyway, let's take a look. Was there any other coins I was looking at? Let me see. Okay, another one was actually, let's talk about it here. Memes Mother, this one. So Mother structure is great. Originally, what did you have? Again, 886, right? 0.5, 853, whatever that is, 906. That's a completed bat, right? And then you went up, hit the T1 of the macro bats, came down for your type 2 return. The type 2 retest was successful, and then now you've imposed higher, right? You've taken out the 0.5, and now you're coming down to put a higher low in. So this structure is still in play, right? Your T2 is still not been hit. Your macro target hasn't been hit, right? So your macro bat structure is still in play. But outside now of just the macro bat, we're looking at this. We've been waiting for this to happen, and it's finally happened. The Gartley has been hit, right? The 1.618, the 786 of the Gartley has been hit, and you have put again a higher low in. You hit it, right? You went below, and then you retested it as support, right? And now you're trying to push this higher. So you have your macro M shape. You also have your more local M shape. It's still on the macro, but it's more local, right? Following the bats. So you're confirming now you have another M shape after this M shape, which just further shows that the convergence of harmonic ratios, right? That's what harmonic trading is all about. The convergence of Fibonacci ratios. If you decide to go a bit deeper,
sorry to interrupt, Weatherman.
Yeah,
someone needs to clip that. Weatherman doing TA on Iggy Azalea's coin on the mother coin. Crazy. No, but it worked out. Yeah, I see how it works out.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, this is crazy. It's what it is, man. It's like I don't want to be stuck in my ways, It's like I've barely traded memes this cycle, and that's literally where the liquidity's just been. And eventually, we are gonna get that rotation from memes back into utility, right? It's just a matter of when is it gonna happen. That's all.
No, 100%. For me, like memes such as Popcat with Pepe as well have been really good this cycle. But Mother, I stick clear from Mother, the celebrity trends, and it's crazy the amount of on-chain stuff that happens. I was speaking to 101 on our team, Harish, and he does a lot of on-chain analytics, meme coins as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's like I wake up every day and on Twitter someone's like, "Oh, I bought this coin, it's 100x." I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, piss off, man." I'm dog shit when it comes to memes. I don't know how to find the one that's early. It's too late by the time I'm like, "Oh yeah, this looks good." So I just don't do memes normally, unless structure starts developing itself and the meme goes on exchanges and stuff like this.
Yeah, the thing is with low market cap coins versus leverage trading, coins with historic data and they're not just a meme coin.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a higher success rate, right? At the end of the day, trading is just probabilities. Whereas the meme coins,
exactly.
It's player versus player, bro. So many scams.
Yeah, and I noticed there's some of these cabal groups, right? And they're like many of these memes that pop off. It's like these cabal groups, 20-30% of them, and it's really funny. I was talking to someone and they were like, sometimes if let's say if someone big in a cabal group makes a call and people start to ape in, the actual cabal group owns so much that it becomes hard for them to take profits in the first place because someone in the group's gonna get hurt. It's like the game of musical chairs. They own so much of the float that it's like if you sell it, you're just gonna impact the market price for everyone. So it's like, how do you get out? It's crazy. It's a completely different game, man.
100%, 100%. I like with leverage trading, spot trading, you can automate it, right? It doesn't have to be too time consuming.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Yeah. But yeah, structure wise, you decide to go a bit lower. We do have a bat here, right? So that's going to be your deciding factor of do you get impulses lower to take out this liquidity, or do you carry the trend going up? Is between, if you basically lose 44999, right? Yeah, that's where I'd be like, maybe don't look at this yet, wait for the reclaim. But also in terms of, again, diagonals. Firstly, this is your just low to high from here, right? Your 87886, you rated it and then reclaimed it as support, and now you're going up, right? The retest has been successful. You'd be targeting somewhere around 0.08 to 0.09 next, right? That's around the next time frame. Within the next few months, that's around where the price lines up with at this zone. You also have your horizontal for that area right over here in the form of a daily seller zone. So somewhere around this intersection is where you're looking for, and for continuation, you're looking for a flip of this, right? Something like this is what you're looking for higher. Buy seller zones, I've got here. So looking at this on the daily, right, on the 4 hours, if you get any sort of flush into this, right, so if anyone that's basically been, trying to long this here, if you get any sort of flushes back into that 6-month buy zone high, right, so 68711 sort of area, and you see the retest being successful, and on the lower time frame, like the 4 hours, let's see if there's anything on the daily. Yeah, on the daily, you have a seller zone right over here as well. So you already have 6-month, 3-month levels lining up in this area monthly. You also have daily resistance now, right? Daily seller zone here. So what I'd be looking for is, okay, close above. Don't get how high you go, don't ape in until structure tells you it's okay to enter. But any retest into this zone, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you wick below, closes above the low. More importantly, closes above the mid. I'd be saying you're flipping a key zone. Like, this seems way more realistic than going lower, right? So that's your current line in the sand. If you get any sort of retest into this area, and is successful, you either close above the top of the box or above the mid. That's the kind of sign you're looking for to then start building a position on this, right? Because this could very easily pump higher. So let me lock those two there, right? So we've talked about it in terms of M shapes, we've talked about it in terms of diagonals, key levels. Liquidity pockets wise, we could, if we do fail this and we do something like this, you come back below and turn this back into resistance, you'd be looking for a short, right? What was once resistance is once again resistance, and we could very well go deeper once more. Maybe put some bullish divergences in on the 4-hour, daily, whatever, right, before we really send it higher. But if you do now fail, if you do retest and the retest fails and you turn this back into resistance, I'd be looking for somewhere within this basically, right? You have a 2-week demand zone over here. You can see textbook, impulse down, consolidation, impulse back up. And within that 2-week demand zone, you have a weekly fair value gap, right? And the reason I'm treating these as liquidity pockets is because of the confluence. We know there's M shapes, there's a completed, you'd have a completed AB equals CD, where you have basically a 0.5 to a 2 extension, right? That's your reciprocal ratios in play. So any pullbacks into this zone and strength is where I look for structure to be developed. Once again, support, rate on liquidity, and then some sort of high low being coming in here. That is where I'd enter if this scenario plays out. Right, so 2 scenarios for you. You either get the breakdown and this retest completely fails. So if this retest does completely fail and you close below and you turn this back into resistance, you have a short entry in your hands. Set some alerts up. You have a short entry on your hands. If the retest is successful, you have an area where you can manage your risk for a long entry / if you just want to buy some spot to take it to the next target, right? Yeah, we've looked at this one. Liquidity pockets, in terms of pitchfork, don't need to look at that. Diagonal support. You literally, in terms of diagonal support, right, you had a deep retracement back into areas where, you rated basically the last diagonal support here. You went to your range extremes, front ran it, and again, you're trying to flip it now. So you need to be above all this to really go parabolic, right, which again lines up with a flip of this zone here, because above this, this is your last quote unquote diagonal support that we've got, right? Above this, you don't really have diagonal supports anymore, so you're above your support range, right? That's where you really accelerate. So that's one way to think about sections of the chart is you're going to have zones where you can accumulate, and then you're going to have zones where price is going to accelerate, right? Between this triangle is going to be zones where you can accumulate based on price action. Acceleration comes in when you're above all the support you need to be. People have their bags packed, and all of a sudden there's no supply here, right? We run the external liquidities to the top side. So you still have time basically to build a position on Mother. So I want to ape everything in again, right? 20, 40, 40, whatever ratio you want, 25, 35, 35, right? Ladder in. But this is your level right now, right? At the end of the day, this is your line in the sand. This is the level around which you need to flip to go higher now, right? Because this lines up with higher time frame levels as well, right over here. So that's Mother. And a load of these memes actually look really, really good, right? And don't fade these M shapes, because again, I gave Wojak in that video I made on harmonics, right? And did it live on stream here as well. We said Wojak had an amazing structure, right? And people, it's like people think, oh, you're so low, is it really going to go high? Until you get massive impulses. Like, for example, this daily candle, let's see what's the biggest daily candle we had on Wojak's. It looks like it is this one right over here, right? So is it gone here? This looks to be the biggest daily candle we had. So it's between this one and this one. When I say acceleration, this is what I'm referring to, right? 40-50% in a day, that is acceleration, right? And this is not something you buy. After you see a 42% pump, you don't just blindly go and buy, because you no longer have a framework. You don't have an area where you can manage your risk. You don't have a thesis. You're not buying because, oh, key levels were flipped. Sellers were in control here before. Buyers are taking control back. None of this, no logic, nothing. Is pure emotions. Once you go into acceleration mode, your back should be locked, right? All you do is, have signs of weakness, you hit your TP targets, you just sell without emotion. That's what you do after acceleration comes in. But there were plenty of time before that happened where there was no acceleration, right? This is the phase Mother is currently in. Look, the highest candle you had in a day was about 34%, right? Right over here. But your average moves up and down are very, very tiny, you can see, right? So you're still building structure, you're flipping key levels into support. That's what was going on over here. Once all of that was confirmed is when you actually started to pop off, right? So you do not want to be buying, you don't want to be scrambling for positions when acceleration is happening, because, framework goes out the window, right? Trying to buy over here. So you load up. When you have, in Wojak's case, what did we have? We had a 618, a 786. This was a near enough perfect godly, right? Again, diagonal demand was being held. And then we just take a chance based off that, right? You hold it. What was once support over here? If we take it from here, right, like this, you have the initial support, radon liquidity, and the reconfirmation of support structure going on, right? So the local accumulation structure going on. You can think of this like a spring/spring backtest, right? And then a higher low, again, where you flip what was once resistance into support, right? This is where you slowly build your position over, right? Because look, if you look back at this now, right? Let's say you'd go enter this when I gave this call here. We were saying like this looks good, right? Let's say even if you didn't enter the bottom and your average price, because you waited to slowly add, before things were really going into acceleration, and your average price came out to be somewhere around, let's say around here, right? Your average price came to be somewhere around 0.06. Are you still going to be mad? No, because you, at the end of the day, you still walked away with a 139% move up, right? And this is what catching the bulk of the move means, right? At this particular point in time is where your last lower high that led to a lower low was taken out, and you put a high low in, right? This was your last positioning, meaning your average, right? Your average wouldn't even be here, because you shouldn't have been buying up here anyway, right? If you're buying based off this and then based off this, your average should be below this level, somewhere around here, right? Meaning your average price, you're walking around with basically 170, let's say around 170% profits, right? Depending on how you averaged up, what entry model you went with, what ratios we went with for laddering in. And then that's when acceleration comes in. Look, you don't have a single high volume buy candle before this. But after that, high low has been put in, high volume buy candle, right? Then all the FOMO starting up after that. And you do not want to be scrambling for positions here. It doesn't make sense. You're going to ruin your average, right? Ruining your average for no reason doesn't make sense, right? When I say size up, I don't mean size up randomly in the middle of nowhere, right? You need triggers to size up to make sure, your average isn't stupidly close to current price. Otherwise, you're just going to get stopped out in the middle of nowhere, right? And then after that, you don't have any business trying to buy this here, right? If you want to trade this here now, it's just lower time frame. There's no swings to be had over here, in my opinion, right? Not compared to this, right? This was a much superior entry model down over there. So you're in a similar boat right now to Mother, right? The opportunity's there. Just watch your position sizing. Don't go all in at once. Remember the laddering in strategy, and you'll be fine. Right? There's not much to lose if you ladder in properly at the areas we currently are in Mother, basically. Again, Myra's another example, right? And this is one where, again, your last lower high that led to a lower low is over here, right? That has been taken out. You put a high low in, right? That was the last entry on Myra, right? So you have your M-shape completing, high lows being put in, and then flip of this to resistance. Your next target for Myra is yellow box. You're not going to be surprised if you just just go up there straight away, right? Like this. 1 or 2 days, you could have a daily candle that takes you there, literally a daily candle. Flip this into support, then the 0.5, right? Flip that into support, you have T2. I'm just going to say C for now, and then A, right? But again, your last bid being here means you positioned yourself at the right side of the V, right? Until this came in, there was no confirmation MAR is an uptrend yet, right? But with this now, you can make an argument that MAR is in an uptrend. Yes, sure, you made a low, high, high, low here, but your macro structure, your last lower high hasn't been taken out yet, right? But we did take out after we did this move up, and then we confirmed the high low as well. So now you say you've gone from the sell side, the left side of the V, to the right side, right? The buy side of the V. And it doesn't make sense to be fully positioned in a trade, right? The reason I say, have a DCA allocation for when the trend shift occurs is because, think about it, it doesn't make sense to be fully positioned in a trade if the coin you're looking to enter in is not in an uptrend, right? What's the point in DCAing with your entire stack before the coin shows it's in an uptrend, right? That's the logic I'm going with here when I say, save allocation to DCA with at the confirmation of a trend shift, right? Because yes, you could DCA your entire stack down here, but in doing so, you're betting, right? What you're doing there is you're betting we're going to make a high low, right? The high low hasn't been put in yet. So if your bet is wrong and you go and make a new low, then you're just going to get stopped out at your full position size for no reason, right? But now with this, you've got confirmation of a high low. So yes, your average is slightly worse, but with relatively speaking to the actual macro move, you're not going to be complaining whether your average is up here or down here. You're not going to be complaining, right? Because the headache and the money you would have saved in not being stopped out randomly, right, with your full position size before the trend was even confirmed, right, is going to be worth it in my opinion, right? Your portfolio is going to thank you for it down the long run. So this is another one, just a quick lesson on just why I say for my laddering in, why there's always a allocation for when the trend shift occurs, right? Because if you're fully positioning yourself before the high low comes in, before basically you get confirmation of we've taken out the lower high that made the lower low, we're now in uptrend, you're still trying to catch a falling knife at the end of the day, right? That's one thing we always say. We say don't try to catch a falling knife. So that's a few. And okay, let's see if there was any recommendations. Yeah, fibs were crazy on low cap, bro. When Bonk when Bonk came out, and then there was the initial meme coin Russian Solana. This was back in the bear market. There was some load of random dog coins popping off on Sol, right? It's the first time I ever opened up Bird's Eye, and yeah, I was trading some called like Chili and a few other things, like absolute shit coins, but fibs were working so well. I was just treating it like a scalping session basically. Yeah, but fibs do work really well. But yeah, I think it's like Rosadi said, human pattern recognition. No, I haven't looked at TIA. Let's look at it now, Django. Let's take a look at TIA. What's it doing? TIA USDT. Let's take a look. Yeah, your structure's still there. Nothing crazy. Your lower high hasn't been taken out. Yes, it has. One sec. Your last, actually, let's look at the weekly structure first. Ideally, okay, your last lower high that led to a lower low has been taken out. Okay, so you're looking for a high low on TIA, and the reason I'm saying that is because again, right, if you have a downtrend, to confirm your to see, okay, are we in an uptrend or not, what you're looking for the last lower high to be taken out and then for a high low to come in, right? So here is the last swing high that led to the lower low, right? Right over here, you can see that has been taken out by this candle. So we're just looking for a high low to come in now. So with that in mind, let's again try to find some significant levels for TIA, right? I'm going to do it live for you guys so there's no confusion on what my seller and buy zone means. Higher time frame to begin with. Already we have a zone, right? So I'm going to call this is 2023. So I'm going to call this, firstly, this extends to the right. Yeah, that's right. So this is your, let's build out TIA live for you guys. 2023 12-month seller zone low, right? You have a candle where buyers are in control, but sellers have taken control back from the buyers is what we're saying, right? So just a system I came up with to give myself a mechanical way to find support resistance. So this, and this are your 3 support resistance levels. That's going to be key at some point in the future. Over here, you have your 2023 12-month seller zone mid. And up over here, you have your 2023 12-month seller zone high, right? And in regards to this candle here, if you now take a overall read of this candle, what we're saying is buyers took control here, went as high as this, before sellers took control down here. So the area where buyers took control is down over here, right? So I'm going to mark that out as well, here to here, right? So I just need to do this then. So now this is your 2023 12-month buyer zone mid, and this right here is your 2023 12-month buyer zone low, right? The high is still the same, right? We share it with the seller zone. So you already have, in terms of the higher time frame, right, in terms of the 12 months, right, we already have key levels we're going to treat as support and resistance, right? So if you go down to the weekly, we can see why this area has been used as resistance all this time. We're struggling to get over, right? We want to be over this for TIA to go high, right? We want to be above that, because again, that's your 2023. That's the mid of the area where buyers were in control, right? You want, if you're bullish now, right? You want if you want TIA to go higher, obviously, if you now have a historical area where buyers are taking control before, you want buyers to take control. Again, what we're seeing right now is the opposite. We're seeing buyers are not taking control yet, right? And you'll have even if you enter TIA here, you will definitely have a chance to size up here. You can already see it's a key level, right? So the day you get a confirmation flip of 6.426, that will be a day, it doesn't matter if you have any bags or not, that you can look for longs, right? I can tell you right now, this is going to be a key level. The day you do properly flip this, you're going to be targeting these range extremes up here again, right? $11.87 TIA over time and higher. But for now, right, obviously that's just a 12-month. I'm not gonna do anything with this 12-month candle because this 12-month candle hasn't closed, right? So that's that. Let's now move on to the 6 months. That's the next candle. So this 6-month candle has closed. What I'm gonna do is do this and do current cycle, and I'm gonna mark one level out here. Go to settings, don't extend the lines left. Perfect. Okay. Now on the 6 months, what we have here is I've marked out the area where we have 2024, right? 6 month, and this is January to June. Seller zone low. 2024 6 month, again January to June. Seller zone mid, and then you have your current all-time high. Just gonna mark that out there. Right, so just leave that in place. So now we have another key level, right? So what we're saying is for TIA, for us to be properly bullish on TIA, for TIA to reclaim structure, right, for it to start going higher, there's a key zone we need to flip into support, right? And on the higher time frame, that key zone is between 6.426 and 6.203. Again, we go to the weekly. We can once again see why you close below this, but we can also see why we rejected off this level here, why we use it as support, right? Because the last biannual close told us that this was the low of the area where sellers were in control, right over here. So this zone now represents the area where buyers were in control the last month. Right? I'm just going to mark it out with a zone so there's not too many fib levels on the screen. Here. So you now are building an area where TIA needs to be above, right? You go in an area where TIA needs to be above for us to really be bullish on the higher time frame, right? So it's not a surprise that we're currently using the exact same zone as resistance, right? Whoever controls this zone dictates where we go. If buyers take control here, we target these highs, right? If sellers take control here, for now we have a range, we target these range lows. Right, so whoever's in control here dictates whether we go up. So for TIA, right, I will get into more local levels now in a minute, but even if you have a bag here, right, a flip at this level will be a very ideal time to size up. Okay, I will not fully allocate any position size over here right now, right? But the day you do go and flip this, just in terms of context again, in terms of where both buyers and sellers have been active, this is a key zone for buyers to reclaim. The day that happens is a beautiful area for you to size up, because you can, the bulk of the move, you're going to be position sized properly, right? So we have key levels on our screen for TIA. So now, we looked at the 6 months. We can keep doing this like, with the 4 months, so on and so forth. I'm just going to leave it with the 12 and the 6 months for now, right? You guys get the gist of how you do this. And now let's look for more local levels, right? So on the 4 months down here, what did we have? I'm going to mark this out in yellow, right? For the 4 months. We had this is your 4-month buyer zone, right? So you have a huge sell candle. Even amongst the face of that sell candle, this is where buyers decided, you know what, let's buy some supply up here. Buyers took control here. So what you're saying is, if you want TIA to make new lows, right, you need to lose these 3 levels, right? You need to go and you need to confirm basically this area as resistance and then go lower. But if you revisit this area, right, and you hold it as support, what we're saying is that is a sign that when buyers, you have an area where buyers were active, and they're being active again. So now you look for higher targets, right? And we know where the higher targets are. It's up here based on the 6 months, right? So if you go to the daily now, just take a look at the price action that did develop after that 4-month close, right? We take a look. What did we do? We had a radar on liquidity, but at the end of the day, we started reconfirming everything as support, right? And we were talking about this because in the harmonic setup video, I gave this. I said 4 months on the TIA is being held, right? You flip the low. If you flip the mid, that's a position to size up on. If you flip the top, size up some more, and you can aim higher, right? Because the key targets are here. So it's not a surprise we went exactly to that level again before rejecting, right? And this is just levels of significance, right? And I know I go on about levels of significance, quote unquote, a lot, but I'm not lying when I say, one of the best things you can do as a trader is, learn how to find significant levels, right? If you're waking up and you're drawing new lines on your screen every day, like new support, new resistance, you haven't got significant levels on your screen. Right, significant levels should not change on a daily whim, right? They're there based on historic context, based on significant time scales, right? So if you're waking up drawing 2 new fresh lines every day and saying this is key support resistance, in my humble opinion, you've not got significant levels on your screen. And the reason I say you need to be able to find significant levels is obviously because that's going to be the most reactive of areas. But secondly, I am a price action based trader. Right? I hardly limit. If I limit, I'm limiting with reduced size because I want confirmation from the buyers, from the sellers. Right? I want to see signs, price action telling me that the thesis that I want playing out is actually playing out. Right? To be able to read price action properly, right? Think about it logically. It makes sense that the most significant price action is going to happen at significant levels, right? If you don't have significant levels, for example, what I'm trying to say is there was no point trying to figure out what was happening at this area or this area or this area, some random candle in terms of price action, right? Because it's not a significant level. Who cares what happens there? You're not trying to long there. You're not trying to short there. You're sub, bro. Sorry.
No, I was saying 100%, bro. That's all you can do, right? You're trading based on historic data.
Yeah.
Your key level of support, resistance, supply and demand. There's loads of different terminology, but essentially it's all the same thing, right? You've got data on the order books, which is where you have heavy inflows and heavy outflows.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, like we were saying, like it doesn't matter what's happening here, right? If you're trying to, if you're glued to the screen trying to figure out what's happening in terms of buyers versus sellers here, like that's a waste of energy and time on your part because it does not matter. What matters is, okay, we know buyers stepped in on the 4 months here. Are they stepping in again, or are sellers taking control? If buyers are stepping in, you position accordingly on the side of the strength, right? And then you wait until the next area gets hit, which is, we know where it is. It's in this zone right here, right? Between the 6-month low and the previous yearly 12-month mid. You see sellers step in, that is significant price action. That's you saying, okay, sellers are taking control here of a key area. Then you would take some profits, right? Try to hedge a short if you want to hedge your downside a bit. If you ever get a flip at this level, right? Again, that is going to be significant because this is a significant area, right? A flip at some random level like this doesn't really matter because it's not significant, right? It's just noise on the grand scheme of things. So you learn to find significant levels, right? Reading price action around those levels is going to be way more significant. And that's the only area that you actually need to read price action, right? You lock your bags here. This is the next area you look at, right? If it's not to this area, you just put your stop loss, you have your predefined stop loss. If you're in profits, maybe put your stop loss in profits, just step away, right? If your stop loss gets hit, it gets hit, it's what it is. If your next zone gets hit, take some profits, right? If you ever flip this zone, again, you're not going to care what's happening on the lower time frame at some random area, right? Because we know on the higher time frame, right? Let's go weekly and above. Let's look at the monthly. we can say that, you know, we're going to have some sort of trouble going around $9, right? You're going to have an alert set around there, but your main target is going to be $11.87. In between those two levels, again, you're not really going to care what's going on, right? So if you want to be able to, you know, because people say, you know, you got to be able to read price action. If you don't understand what that means, for me, that simply means what's happening in terms of buyers and sellers, right? That's all you're looking at. That's all price action is. What's happening in terms of buyers versus sellers? Because at the end of the day, this is the fundamental interaction that's literally painting the candles you see in front of you, right? Any structure, any pattern, any fib ratios, any extensions, anything anyone could do regarding TA is painted because of what's happening in terms of buyers versus sellers. So you reading price action is you just trying to figure out what's happening in terms of buyers versus sellers, right? That's already a complicated enough task as it is. So, you know, make it easy for yourself. Just learn to find significant levels and just stick to those. Over time, you know, you're going to out trade anyone that's, you know, on the 1 minute trying to find, you know, like, oh, structure high, structure low, whatever, right? It's not going to matter.
Who's really trading crypto on the 1 minute, please?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But so for TIA, we have a 4-month level here, right? And buyers have held that, right? Buyers are holding that for now. If I hit play, we've got more reactions going on. So over here, we can see what happened, right? You tried to close above, but now the price action is telling you, you know, buyers are not able to keep pushing this higher, right? You close below the 642, and then the next one you SFP above this level, so you've confirmed this to be resistance, right? You have an area now where you're basically saying sellers are taking control, and you have a high volume buy candle here, right? Here is an area, here's a seller zone on the daily. If you ever turn this area to resistance, that's a head short you can take, and that's exactly what you did here. Broke down, reconfirmed the mid of this to be resistance. What you're saying is, again, an area where sellers were active in the past, you've got a rate on liquidity, right? You've put a lower high in, you've confirmed the mid to be resistance as well. You have trap traders here, this is deviation, right? And then again, you would target your range lows. TP1 when you see local internal structure being taken, and then TP2 are your actual key levels, right? So TIA is just within a range right now. TIA is just within a range between your higher time frame levels. Let me delete this and just hit play. Still chopping between the same areas, right? And now what we are saying is, like, again, on the weekly now, structure wise, your last lower low that your last lower high that led to a lower low has been raided. So, you know, we are looking for higher lows to come in. So with that being said, firstly, let's see if we have anything locally here. So 3 months, we have a buy zone right here. I'm going to color this one purple, right? So this is your 3 month significant levels. You're saying as long as you are above 0.5, so 4.631 on the 3 months, right? As long as you're above this level, you're holding your 3 month buyer zone mid. On the 3 months, this is previously where buyers took control, right? So as long as you're above this area, you're still within the area where buyers took control, right? So any signs of strength here, basically, you take seriously, right? So now you have zones. On TIA, you have this. I treat that as a solitary level, the 0.5, and then you have this. You get below this, you're literally making, you know, in regards to this down move, you're making a new low, right? You don't want to be holding TIA, obviously. But any sort of pullbacks you get to this area, right, just like we did in the past, and any signs of strength, you see buyers stepping in, you see sellers trying to take control, right? They're trying to wick price down, but the candle body closes are adhering, especially, right? Make your break your level for now. I'd say if you want a higher low structure to continue, this zone between 4.212 and 4.631. Any pullbacks to this area, right, closes above the mid of the said zone is what you're looking for entries on TIA. And let me just put some diagonals in the mix real quick. So golden pockets plus liquidity rate. So this low to this high, right? So we've actually gone past that. So we're looking for deep retracements in this case. This low to this high. You're holding your 87886, right? You're holding your deep value zones basically. So if you are looking to long TIA right now, your invalidation should be very, very clear. It is if this buyer zone that we have on the daily is lost, right? If this buyer zone on the daily is lost, that is when you would cut your position. This is only if you're scalping, right? And I won't scalp TIA anyway. For a swing, you have a zone, like we mentioned, between this area, between $4.21 and $4.63 basically, right? That is where, you know, if you get a pullback to that area, that is where I'd look to add signs of strength, right? Because at the end of the day, we have an intersection right over here, right? The 0.94 is your last diagonal you've got if you lose this level. And below this, I wouldn't, honestly, I'll cut my tier bags. I'll just wait for this range to get reclaimed, right? Because you have no diagonals below you now, if you think about it in that sense. But as long as you're above this level at the end of the day, right? As long as you're above this, eventually you are going to go and target this region. Right? You are looking for a higher low because you have, like I said, the last lower high that led to a lower low has been taken. So now any signs of higher lows that you get is to be taken seriously. Right? So if you get something like this, for example, right, you start grinding up along this, and over time you start to see you flip the 5.52 as well, and you flip this level. A big size off for me would be, like I said, your 12-month buyer zone mid and your 6-month seller zone low between 630, whatever that is. I'll show it properly in a minute, and 642. Above that level is where you really need to get for TR to make some serious impulses up. Right, so my proper size up would be at this level here. So basically, any entries you do here on spot, right? Any entries you do, again, think about the laddering and strategy, 20, 40, 40, or whatever ratio you want, right? Whatever sets of ratio you want, you're going to be applying that to this. Right, because you are right now in the middle of a range. I will not trade in the middle of a range, right? So either wait for the range high to be flipped, or wait for some sort of, you know, move like this to happen on TR. Because you don't have enough confluences to pull the trigger here, in my opinion. You only have the fact that, you know, you've hit the diagonal 87886, right? For me, that's not enough confluence to then just be like, yeah, let's take the trade here. You'll have much more confluence higher up or at the rate lower, like I said. So that's that on TR. And let's see if we see anything on. Let's get rid of that for now. So daily. You have a daily buyer zone over here. There we go. Yeah. So you can see very well defined range for TR here. Right. Here's your radon liquidity for the range low. If I do this now, hide everything apart from this, delete this one, delete this, and delete this. This zone here. This is any closes, any retests and closes at this zone. That is where I would bid, or wait till you flip this. There's too much of a deviation range either way here, right? And if you're thinking, like, you know, if you're thinking TR like as an investment, like, you know, you want to hold this on spot for a long time, like I said, there's nothing wrong with actually entering where you are, right? Because at the end of the day, you're ultimately going to either be sizing up here, or you're going to be cutting if you start to lose the bottom half of this zone. Right? If you start to lose that, you're going to be cutting. But if you're going to be leverage trading, I wouldn't blindly enter here, right? I would wait, like I said, for a flip or a deeper pullback into this to really get a tighter entry. Because it's going to be, you know, if you enter here, you're saying your stops are going to be underneath this, right? If you want structure to stay intact, your stops are going to be underneath this. And if you do enter here, is again, you might as well enter a spot because you're going to be entering a swing setup. There's no point, you know, entering like a lower time frame setup on TR over here. So just spot's going to be superior no matter how you look at it. So again, remember the laddering in strategy, 20, 40, 40, right? That's just the ratio I go with because it's easy to explain. Make it whatever you want. One for CMP, one for if you go deeper, / if you start flipping local resistance into support, you slowly ladder in. One for when you get that trend shift, right? In this case, the trend shift's already occurred. So that 40% is going to be for when you flip this macro resistance into support. So take this, put this here. If you wanted to enter a swing right over here, this is how I would do it. Just wick low, somewhere below that. You do not want to get, you know, you don't want to get below this zone for TR. So that's why you ladder in, right? It's a big thing. So even conservatively, right? Let's say we just go for equal highs on TR. It's 8.47 RR trade, right? With this in mind. So that's down TR. Shortest time range. What do you mean by that, Fidjray, bro? Do you mean like if I'm scalping? I don't do intraday trading, so I'm not normally looking for entries on like the like the 4 hours or something like this. So when I'm scalping, it's 1 minute to 15 minutes. My preferred being 3. And when I'm scalping, I normally scalp Bitcoin. And if I'm swinging, well, that's like weeks, months. Looking when I'm actually doing TA, like the levels I'm getting are based off like 12 months and lower. And then if for example, if I'm looking at a setup and I'm looking at the weekly, right, I'm going to be entering based on the daily, like just a time frame alignment a bit. So if I'm looking at weekly price action, I'm going to layer in on the daily, right. I'm going to have a allocation left over for if the weekly candle close confirms my thesis, then I will ladder in, so on and so forth, right. But yeah, so if I'm looking at weekly price action, it's daily entry models. So between the daily and the weeklies where I spread my bids out if I'm looking for a swing entry. For scalping, yeah, 1 minute to 15 minutes. My preferred being 3. That's where I scalp. 15 minutes for like if I want to size up. Just slightly higher time frame confirmation on the scalp. If I want to take that scalp, try to turn it into a swing basically. Yeah, no problem, man. You're sub, bro. Hello, C. Nice to see you here, man. Okay, let's look at Rose because I got a request for Rose, and after Rose, I'll end the stream here. So Rose US. Oh wait, this was another one we said had a really nice harmonic setup. Yeah, completed M shape. Another one with a completed M shape. You have a shark on Rose. Let me just get rid of the brush here. I think we actually looked at Rose before. We looked at it on a stream. It was either last week or the week before, but we were saying any SFPs of this zone, that's literally why we have this one marked out here. Any SFPs of this zone is where you enter. We literally got the raid here, so that entry condition's been met. I didn't take this though. I didn't have any alerts set up, so I missed this trade. Let's see. Let me do this and this. Create a group of drawings. So Rose, in terms of wave structure, firstly, again, you have a shark. Completed M shape, right? That's a shark, 86 retracement. And it's not just the fact it's an M shape, it's where is the M shape occurring, right? So we know this is a key level in terms of support resistance. We can see that straight away, right? If we do this, there you go. So this is very much a key level for Rose. You went into that, you literally hit the mid, right? And then you had a nice reaction off it. Your last lower high, again, that led to a lower low, right? In terms of, oh, wait. Let me, what did I just do? What did I just do? I don't know, but, oh, okay, never mind. Okay, let me just check that is a lower high. Yes, okay, so your last lower high that led to a lower low was taken out here. And you have put a higher low in for now, right? So again, that's your first sign that you're gone from the left side of the V to the right side of the V. Right, and which is why I think it was 2 streams ago now that I said, if this holds, then this is where you want to enter. I didn't have alert set though, is what it is. But completed M shape, you're bouncing off of a key area, right? And you still have ages to go before acceleration really begins on Rose. You can see acceleration only really begins as you get above this target, 0.09. But if you're looking for a local trade entry on this now, let's look at the daily. What are we looking for? Well, that's the thing. The trade entry has been missed. It was here, right? There is, right now, as we speak, there is no viable trade entry to be had on Rose in terms of risk management. If you decided to enter right now, basically, your risk management is going to be that much more difficult, right? So if I do this, let's say you were to literally enter right now, right? I'm not saying enter right now, just showing you. Your stops would have to be below this, basically, I'd say, right? It's 15.03% away. So unless you're going spots, this is what I mean. I just don't recommend leverage trading right now for alts, right? Look to be your spot bags out for now. No, when it's time to step off the gas, right? I'm saying defensive is the way to go until Bitcoin gives us that clean break. But we do have a structure. We could definitely come lower because we have a supply line still over here, right? And in the face of that, what we also have is a there we go, a zone as such. One sec, let's make this a bit nicer. So resistance, resistance, right? Resistance, 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 SFPs. So there we go. Yeah. So we have this huge supply line, or we can see that we just have a zone basically where it is resistance. I would not recommend entering right over here. So two things: you either get this, if you start to see breakout and retest of this general area, then I would pull the trigger on Rose basically at the next higher low that comes in locally, right? Or maybe you go and actually have a deeper rate. For example, we know there is a liquidity pocket right over here. That is a demand zone. That is a modified demand zone right over here. If you go and flush that out, right, we start to see something like this, and then this. That is where I'd enter. And honestly, like, the chance of this happening is not zero, okay? Like, just I'm saying, if Bitcoin does go to, let's say, 73, 74, alts aren't going to get picked up, okay? It's not like, okay, Bitcoin's pumping, but also going to have to go. It's not. Bitcoin is where all the, you want the money to go to Bitcoin first, right? And the higher the Bitcoin dominance goes, the better the alt season you're eventually going to get, right? So if Bitcoin does go to a 74k and sellers do take control and we get one more flush, your alts are going to be losing these supports, in my opinion. Right, Rose will lose this support. You probably will get this flush. In which case, I'll be looking for a reclaim, right? Reclaim of this general area to size up on, and keep building positions until you get the breakout retest confirmation, and then after that, you're positioned to take out the top side liquidity, right? But I would not enter Rose right now because you can see visually speaking, very very simple. You are at resistance, right? You are at very big resistance. The entry to be had was down there. I didn't alert this, that's my bad. I didn't even have alerts set up. I forgot to set up alerts for this level, so it's what it is. But yeah, either breakout retest and then go, right? And if you want the breakout retest, just instead of a zone, just draw this. It'll be easier for you. There. So just set alerts up, right? You get a breakout retest of this area, you go. Otherwise, I think either you get a pullback towards this area and you rate that, reclaim and go, or a deeper raid, right, of that liquidity pocket, like I said. So either way, it's going to be a retest you're going to be entering on. Yeah. Don't rush. Don't rush into alts, especially right now, like we're saying, with where everything is. Don't rush into alts right now. Yeah, no problem, brother. No problem at all. Glad you found, glad you find it of value. Can we look at ETH BTC for a long position? Let's take a look. I've been over ETH BTC already, but let's might as well take a quick look at it. ETH against BTC is right over here. If you're thinking of longing ETH against BTC right now, I wouldn't do it. Let's actually find one sec, right? Let's do this. Hang on. Let's build this up. I've got too much random shit on this now. Let's build this up. Okay, so we're going to take it exact same way we had before. What we currently have, this is a seller zone, right? So I'm going to do this on the 12 months. I'm going to put this down. Right, what is this where we currently are? This is a seller zone, right? This is the 2020 seller zone. So 2020 12-month seller zone low. 2020 12-month seller zone mid. 2020 12-month seller zone high, right? There we go. Key area we're currently retesting on the higher time frame. We can see why this is the key area retesting, right? This is the seller zone. So perhaps looking at it in this perspective, maybe we are not going to be surprised if we do have that deeper pullback, right? And this I did with a, hang on, is this my, where's the group 2? No, yes, XABCD pattern. So this was the pre-drawn one. We had this drawn on ages ago, right? So let's change this now. If we do go for the 886, then it's basically going to be a raid of the mid of this, right? Let's see, do we have anything lining up with why this raid should happen, right? So just gonna go off based off those two for now. Let's hide this. On the 12 months, what else do we see? We have a buy zone low down over there. We're not interested in that candle for now. We're not interested in this. We're not interested in this. We are not interested. Actually, we are interested in this. Okay, so over here, So if I turn off the first one for now, we have this and this. The low is there, the mid is there. So we have over here a 2019 macro read. So I'll go over here. So this is the, oh wait, this is the add text, 2019 12-month macro read, seller's zone low, 2019 12-month macro read, seller zone mid. Last but not least, we have 2019 12-month macro read, seller zone high. And let me just change the color so you guys aren't confused. Let's just make it something like blue, not blue. What stands out? White for now, right? Let's make it white. So already we have two key reasons as to why we're in this region, right? This entire zone here, which you could, by the way, treat as a demand zone if you wanted to, because you have the structure for it. You have the impulse down, consolidation, impulse substructure. Here you can see that. But let's forget about that for now. Just in terms of buyer seller zones, we now have a reason as to why we could go for that 886, right, on ETH against BTC. Now you can see that 886 will take us right in between the 2020 and 2019 seller zone mids, right? It'd be a retest of a key area. And if you look back in time, you can see it was very well respected, right? It's a key zone at the end of the day. So the 886 there, it'd be a nice high-low confirmation, right? You'd stop how, you know, you'd be making a new low. It looked terrible in terms of local context, but in terms of macro context, it'd still be fine, right? It'd still be another high low as compared to this. Now, in terms of, if we go to the monthly for this, and I turn this off once, do we have any fib confluence in this area? Is my question. So we have, in terms of the macro fibs, 1 second. Let's do this, and let's turn these two off for now. Right. So the mid for that is just down over there. So we don't have any immediate fib confluence here. As to where we currently are, the macro 786, right? So we're not even going to get those targets if this current range holds. And why are we saying this current range could hold? Because we know that right now as we speak there is a 786, right? There is an actual Garley here. So there is no need for us to go lower if we don't have to. But now we're just stacking confluences. That's all we're doing. So if I go for the trend-based fib extension here, turn off the fib retracement one, high, low, lower high. Where are we also at? We're at the golden pocket, right? We're at the golden pocket of the downtrend of the trend-based fib extension. Last time we had this, we bottomed out again at the 764, 786. So, you know, a high low in this would be nice, right? You're saying you're making higher lows over time on a fib based on a downtrend, which is bullish. You're saying, you know, downtrending levels, you're flipping into support, right? And now we look again at this area and we realize, okay, well, that 786 we were talking about will line up very, very nicely, right? If I go and turn that one back on, will line up very, very nicely with a liquidity rate of this golden pocket, right? Your 702, 707 is right over there in my system. That's a liquidity rate of your golden pockets. Shake out anyone trying to enter the golden pocket, which is going to be like 99% of the people, and then actually properly send it up. So yeah, if we lose the current area, I'll be looking down towards 0.03027 to 0.02960 basically, right? This is the area I'll be looking at. I'm just going to draw a box there for you so it's visible. This is the area I'll be looking for a high low to come in. If we lose this, then we can talk about deeper levels, right? But for now, since we haven't even gone to this area yet, I'm just going to leave this on the table. This is where I'll currently be looking for a higher low. With that being said, one last thing I'm going to do is, but again, this is only if we lose our current support, okay? We are at support right now as we speak. Talked about that already. Right over here, right? You can see that we are at supports. If we lose this, sure, deviate, reclaim, and go higher, right? That'd be great. But if we don't lose this and we do keep closing above this now on the higher time frame, we're going to push up from this level. One last thing we're going to do is actually go over to the log chart, right? We're going to go over to the log chart, and we're going to take a look at ETH against BTC on log as well, because I don't think I've done this yet. I'm not sure if I have, but might as well check. Yeah, I've not done this. So delete everything is what we're saying. Fixed range, yeah, yada yada yada. Yeah, I've definitely not done this on log yet. So delete everything. Let's take a look at ETH against BTC on log. 12 months. Our macro is here. From this low to this high. So again, we have a reason for that zone we drew down, right? Where did we draw that zone down? Between 3296 and 2953. If you look at log, that falls within the log golden pocket, right? And plus the liquidity rate. So you could actually expand your zone now to include that liquidity rate to 2335, right? But so that's one perspective to look at it in terms of log. The other perspective to look at it is, that's your macro log retracement right over there. We have a trend base of extension. We have a low is at 157, I believe. Yep. We have a low. We have a high. We have a higher low, right? You front ran your range extreme, right? This is the front run of the range extreme in my system right here. You've not got higher since. Currently, you're coming down for the 0.5 retest. Right, so again, our zone 2953, right? If we lose this zone, then we have deeper levels to talk about, right? But as long as we do not lose this zone here, you know, we have plenty of confluence as to why if we lose where we currently are, this is the next area where buyers are going to step in. If we lose this zone, then on log it's very, very simple to see. The next area you'd be looking for me would be right down over here, a rate of this and reclaim. So if you lose this, if you lose 3296 to 2953, you're looking at 2546 to 2227, right? If you lose that, honestly, you go and raid the lows, and ETH's going to be doing atrocious against Bitcoin. So let's not think about that for now. So there's two zones, right? In front of you guys, there's two zones as to why, if we lose current areas, why we could go a bit deeper, right? One based on log, one based on linear. No problem. So what I'm going to do is, since someone asked about MKR for ages, I will do MKR, but this is going to be the last one, okay? Just because I've got to get some lunch in me. Maker did say if this, as long as if you have no thing is coming in. Wait. I don't know what kind of breakout you're seeing though, bro. But MKR looks terrible, locally speaking. Anyway, this doesn't look good right now. I mean, the reason I'm saying that, there is no structure yet, right? All you have is massive sell candles and then all of a sudden bids. You need structure to develop, right? You know, you want to see, you know, maybe a high low confirmation, double bottom confirmation followed by a high low. Once you have structure developed, you have a thesis. Right now there is no thesis for MKR. They lost the Gartley. Just go and give me the bat, right? Hopefully we do get the bat. So this bat has been pre-drawn as well, right over here. You know, 562 474 886. If you got the bat, that'd be great, right? That'd be absolutely amazing for MKR. So I'm honestly, at these local areas, I'm really not interested in MKR, just because I don't mind getting MKR if we get the reclaim of the Gartley, right? I've got, you know, when you have, think about it like this when you're trading, right? You have limited time and limited energy, right? So focus on the ones for now that have given you clean structures. MKR, there is no clean structure to be had right now, right? So okay, you have a weekly buy zone, cool. If you get any retest into the mid of this and buy step in, you can try to build scalp positions, then you then turn into swings, right? You can try to build a spot position here. But at the end of the day now, you can see, if you think about it like support resistance, right? And we can see, you know, there has been support and resistance here in the past. If I do this real quick, there, support and resistance, right? This is very clearly resistance, right? You can see support in the past, right? Support, so resistance turned to support, right? You've lost it. We clearly have a zone now where MKR is within just trading, right? So if we do this, that's a big zone. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to do this here. MKR is very clearly right now, right, in the middle of a range, right? For me, this is not where you execute a trade. You either execute now at a confirmation of a flip of this area, or you wait for the lower end of the range to be taken. Middle of the range, you just don't have any business trading here. You just don't, right? Because it's a coin flip over here if you're going to go higher or lower. Right? Because you could come down here, take this out, or you could do this. So your proper entry on MKR is going to be either, again, a reclaim of that 1.618 to 786 of the Godly to send it higher, or it's going to be at something like this, right? Structure developing around that 886 of the BAT. And there is where you would, take a play for MKR. Very simple answer for this one, actually. Just because it's the middle of a range, right? You can see, if you actually divide this into ranges, this is clearly resistance, flip to support, right? Key level from history. Same thing down over here. You're in between that, right? That's not where you execute the trade. You don't have an edge here, basically. Because, yeah, you could buy here, but what if you go and do this now, right? That's just not worth it. It's just not worth it, right? So much cleaner for you if you get above this, because then at least you have this, right? Until you do that, I wouldn't touch MKR. Currently, I'm just telling you what I would do. It's not financial advice or anything, but personally, this or this is the two structures I'd be looking for on MKR, not where we currently are. Even on the daily, I don't really see a breakout. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I don't see a breakout on the daily for MKR. Yeah, it was such a nice confluence area, Burgosari, for sure, that area. And then, yeah, we just went and lost it. That's what it is. Can't always have it perfect. Right, but anyway, that was MKR. Guys, I'm going to end this stream here. I've been streaming for about 1 hour 45 minutes now. If you guys have any questions, right, or anything like this, feel free to ping me in chat. Because if you don't ping me, I'm probably going to miss your message. So just ping me in chat if you have any questions or anything like this. If anything crazy happens with BTC, I might do another stream later this week. But if nothing crazy happens, then I'll just do another stream on Tuesday again. If anyone is interested in learning the way I trade, just reach out to me if anyone is interested in one-on-ones. Otherwise, catch me in my live streams, right? But apart from that, thank you guys very much for being here today. No problem at all. Thanks, guys. Catch you soon. I'll talk to you in DMs concludes, bro. No problem, man.